Hi, I'm Matt Staver, founder and chairman of Liberty Counsel. Before I talk about this issue of these forced COVID mandates and the steps that we are recommending that you take, let me give you a little background about Liberty Counsel. Liberty Counsel, we founded it in 1989. It's a national ministry, it's nonprofit. All that we do at no cost to you. Everything that we do is a ministry, and we provide our legal services pro bono to individuals that we represent. We have been to the Supreme Court of the United States multiple times, including over the last several months. We led the litigation around the country, defending pastors and churches against unconstitutional and discriminatory restrictions placed on them because of these COVID executive orders issued by governors and local legislators. We've been to the Supreme Court multiple times and won on those cases, and we also attained the first statewide permanent injunction in the country, and this was against the state of California on behalf of churches and places of worship. We have been at the Supreme Court many times over the 30-plus years of Liberty Counsel's existence. I've litigated in virtually every court of appeals around the country and many state Supreme Courts. Our attorneys are dedicated, and they are ready and willing to serve you, and we will do that at no cost to you. Before I talk about the process, I want to apologize that you're even having to be in this situation. This is not right. We receive many calls from distraught people, distressed, with anxiety, not knowing what's going to happen in the next few weeks, because they are threatened with these unconstitutional, unlawful mandates to get these COVID shots, or be terminated, or not be admitted to school, or be kicked out of school, or not be able to do their clinicals, or even to be dishonorably discharged after court-martial when they've served at the front lines. Those of you in the healthcare industry, I want to thank you for your service. You are our heroes. You've run, and you always do, to the very front line of danger, to protect people, to heal them, and to save your communities. Thank you for tirelessly going to work every day, putting your lives and even sometimes your families on the line of jeopardy in order to sacrifice for others. You are heroes, and we will stand with you. Thank you for the men and women in the military services. Many of you, some of you certainly have gone to the very front lines and have enlisted after or because of 9/11. You've been in many deployments. You've seen colleagues die, be disabled. You, in fact, have shed blood. You've missed birthdays and Christmas parties and Thanksgivings and other kinds of events of your family. And your youth wasn't stolen. You voluntarily gave it up. And I want to thank you. You should never be put in this situation. You are our heroes. You fight for us. We will now fight for you. We will not abandon you. To students in school, I want to say you should never be faced with this kind of a choice, your educational and future career or these shots. And to everyone else in the other employment sectors, whether it's state, federal, or private, again, be calm, be in peace. You should never face this, and we will walk you through every step of the way. For all of you, I want to just encourage you to take one step at a time. Don't think about all the possibilities coming down the pipe. Take one step at a time. Do not abandon your post. Do not leave your jobs. Do not withdraw from school. You need to stay your post, and you need to stand for what is right, what is moral, and stand for freedom. This is unlawful to force you to inject any substance, let alone these COVID injections, into your body. Just before we go through the process, let me point you to a couple of places on Liberty Counsel's website that you may have already visited, and if not, I encourage you to do so. And if you know other people in similar situations like you facing these mandates, encourage them to visit the sites. The first one is the main web page, lc.org, lc.org. At the very top of that page, you'll see a tab that says Legal Help. Click on that. That has a drop-down screen, and it has several options that are there. One is a religious exemption letter. I'll come back to that in a few moments. And the other is the legal help form. You can fill out that form, and what you say to us and what you write is confidential, and we will protect that with attorney-client privilege. So you can go there and fill that out. We will then be able to communicate with you and contact you and send you information along the way, and you'll be able to stay in touch with us as we walk through this process. The other section of the website is lc.org/vaccine, lc.org/vaccine. At the very top of that page, you'll see a link for a legal memo. That also will appear down into the body of this page under legal memo. That gives you a little bit of an idea of the legal issues involved, but that's just a sampling because there are many other federal and state laws that we could include in that particular legal memo. The other thing that you'll see there at the top is also the sample religious freedom exemption letter. It's the same one that is on the legal help tab at lc.org. So when you scroll down on this page, lc.org/vaccine, I want you to pay particular attention to the section called Adverse Reactions. This overviews various adverse reactions from the COVID shots themselves, all three, Pfizer, Moderna, and Johnson & Johnson. You can, under that particular section, go down to VAERS data chart. VAERS data chart. That's updated every Friday. And you can click on that weekly, and that will give you the updated stats that are on the VAERS data site, which is the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC. And you'll see the number of deaths, and you'll see the different categories of reported injuries. According to the CDC and a Harvard study, what is reported on this VAERS site represents less than 1% of actual. So even though these numbers are staggering and very concerning, this is not the full picture. This is just the tip of the iceberg of what is really happening as a result of these particular shots. The swine flu shot was a failed experiment in the 1970s. It was rushed to market under the leadership of Gerald Ford. And it was promoted by the CDC. And it became a failed vaccine experiment that was rushed without proper testing. And it was eventually stopped after 53 deaths. There are more deaths every single day from the COVID shots than there are cumulatively from all the swine flu deaths that resulted in its cessation. There are more deaths in the 7 months of 2021 from the COVID shots alone than all the cumulative reported deaths from all vaccines combined over the previous 31 years when the VAERS data chart was ultimately launched on July 1, 1990. You can scroll down further and you'll see a section called Personal Stories. This and other areas of this particular page may be able to help you inform you of the decision that you need to make, and it is your decision alone. Under Personal Stories, the first link is C19. That was created by a medical doctor who received all the vaccines, was pro-vaccine, got a particular COVID injection, and now is disabled. In doing research for how to remedy and heal herself, she came across many, many other people just like her, and those stories are cataloged at that particular site. There's other personal stories under that section as well. So let's begin with step 1. And we want to make sure that you literally follow these steps. Don't think about the next step. Let's take one step at a time. So let's look at the religious exemption letter. That is a form letter. It has various kinds of scriptures and Christian languages, but you can adopt that to your particular religious belief and persuasion. It doesn't really matter what that is. That's just a sample to get you to think about how you're going to put your religious exemption request in writing. So you want to write your own religious exemption request. I would encourage you not to copy that particular exemption sample. Not because we are trying to copyright it, but we would rather not have the same employer or the school or someone in the military that's processing these see the same exact language with application after application. So place it in your own words. So use that as an example and begin crafting your religious exemption letter. It does not have to be long, and you do not have to go into a significant amount of detail with regards to that. The real issue, and the only issue from a legal standpoint, is do you have a sincerely held religious belief that ultimately prevents you from getting these particular COVID shots? Do you have a sincerely held religious belief? That's the only issue. That's the only question. And you can articulate that in any manner you choose to do so that is consistent with your specific religious conviction and your specific religious tradition. It does not matter whether your pastor, your priest, your rabbi, your church, your denomination, your synagogue, or whatever it may be, your place of worship. It does not matter whether they agree with you. It does not matter whether those entities or those people have a tradition that is long held against vaccines in general or not. You may encounter, for example, some places in the employment or work places or military or in school where someone reviewing this or even making a statement with regards to your submission says that you have to be part of a recognized religion that has a history against vaccinations. That is unconstitutional. The U.S. Supreme Court has clearly rejected that. The only issue is not what your denomination, not what your religious order believes, not what your pastor, priest, or rabbi think. It's your personal belief and your belief alone. Now, there may be some places that require a pastor letter or a clergy letter. Let me talk about that in just a moment. After you craft your religious exemption document, your letter, following the template and put it in your own words, and if you're Jewish, for example, follow your Jewish tradition. You don't have to use this language. It's just a guideline and a template to get you to think. And then you put it in your own language. Once you've done that, there may be certain procedures that have been set forth by the entity that is mandating these shots. Follow those procedures. Some may have their own form. Some may have a specific portal that you respond to. Follow that procedure exactly as they have outlined it. What you don't want to do is get your exemption denied because you didn't follow the specific procedure. Follow that procedure. In case, for example, the place where they require you to put down your religious belief is too small for you, you can always attach the letter. But again, it does not need to be long. It does not need to be footnoted. It needs to be something that is a page, 2 pages, however it may be, but not long, that just simply sets forth your religious belief. Look at it from, for example, what's the basis of this particular letter that we have as a sample. It says that, among other things, 2 different options, or you can have a combination of both from a Christian perspective, and this will vary between faith traditions. There's one that is a specific pro-life rejection of these COVID shots. And that is based on the fact that all 3, Pfizer, Moderna, and Johnson & Johnson, used aborted fetal cell in the development of these shots. Pfizer and Moderna say that it is not in the deployed phase, but Johnson & Johnson does have it in the deployment phase. Consequently, if you have a religious belief that believes that God is the creator and life is sacred, and you don't want to be complicit directly or indirectly with the taking of innocent human life, you can have that as your basis. You can also combine that with a broader basis, and that is that your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit, or that the Creator made you unique, and that God created you as a very unique human being in His image, and you don't want to harm your body and defile your body. Your belief is based upon the Scriptures. Your belief is faith based upon your faith and following God. You can have that as the broader basis of your religious exemption request. So you can have the broad one, you can have the more narrow one, pro-life, you can have one without the other, you can have them both combined together. And by the way, if you have a basis for a medical exemption, I encourage you to file a medical exemption along with your religious exemption as well. For a medical exemption, you likely will need to have some doctor or healthcare provider support your medical reason, or at least clearly state your medical reason for not wanting to get these shots. And there are many medical reasons for doing so. And if you have that basis, do both, medical and religious. It's not problematic to do both. Many may only have, however, a religious exemption. Now, as it relates to the process, some of these entities have said that you need to have a pastor's signature or a pastor letter affirming your belief. That's unconstitutional, and we could certainly contest that. But what you may be able to do is find someone, if in fact that is being requested, and receive such a pastoral or clergy, if you will, letter affirming your belief. Again, it's not necessary, even though they ask for it. It's frankly unlawful because it's irrelevant what the pastor or the clergy think about your particular belief. Again, it is your belief and your belief alone, and the case law from the United States Supreme Court is very clear on that specific issue. If you are having a hard time finding a clergy, you can go to Liberty Counsel's website, lc.org, and send an email, liberty@lc.org, and we will be able to connect you with somebody who can speak with you, communicate with you, and satisfy that. It's probably better, if that is a requested aspect, if you're able to obtain it, to go ahead and do it, rather than poke the bear in the eye at the very first, start out of the block. But again, it's not required. It's certainly not lawful to require that. So that's the first step, and you need to file that as soon as possible. I know many of you have deadlines that are coming. Do not wait to file this religious exemption letter. File it as soon as you are prepared to do so. The longer lead time that we have between perhaps a denial and trying to resolve it for you, the better. If we get something and the denial happened because you just filed it and the termination date is only a day or a few days away, it makes resolution much more difficult. Now, if you do get denied, then you want to contact Liberty Counsel, and you can do that by going to the website. You'll find the email. It's liberty@lc.org. We want to look at what you then submitted. We want to look at the denial. But let's not get to the denial yet, because we want to process this and pray for and work for the approval of your religious exemption. Now, you may have questions about, well, they want me, if I get exempted, to have this kind of article of clothing, this particular badge, or this particular face mask versus others. They want to identify me and stigmatize me. Look, those are all problematic issues, but let's address those when we have to. Let's do step one, and then we'll get to step two. What kind of accommodation are they actually providing to you? And is that accommodation reasonable? Under federal law, that applies to all of these different sectors, and also state law, that's in addition in many of these cases. When you present your sincerely held religious belief, it doesn't matter whether the person reviewing it can debate it, whether they disagree with it theologically or scientifically or in any other way. It's irrelevant what they think. It's irrelevant what anybody else thinks. What is only relevant is what you believe and hold as a sincerely held religious belief. So at that point in time, we want to get that in, and we want to move forward with this step one. If you are ultimately denied or you're getting pushback, you can contact us at the information that I've already provided, and that's also on your screen. So get the religious exemption letter in, do it as soon as possible, and then notify us of any problems that you encounter. And we're talking about on the religious exemption side of things, not the kind of accommodation. But once you ask for a religious exemption, the law requires It requires and it mandates that the entity that is being requested of the religious exemption and accommodation undertake reasonable accommodation efforts to accommodate your sincerely held religious belief. They can't just simply deny it. They have to provide reasonable accommodation to you. And that is the clear letter of the law. It doesn't matter whether the emergency use authorization, which says that for these EUA drugs that you have the option to accept or refuse, is ultimately no longer useful because, for example, the FDA may at some point license these and therefore EUA is no longer applicable. That's irrelevant because we still have all of the other federal and state legal protections that will help you. So let's go through just that one step. Create your religious exemption letter and file it. Use the process and the form if there is one stated. If not, submit it to your superior, HR, your dean, president of the school, your commander, your chain of command. Submit it wherever you may want to submit it. And make sure you have to maybe submit it to more than one place. Keep a copy of it. And then keep track of the deadline. Let us know if you have any issues, and we will be here to help you. And we'll do that through step one. Then we'll get later on to what is the reasonable accommodation, and is it reasonable, or is it also a violation of federal and state law? Because even the accommodation in some cases may be unlawful because it is too burdensome and it is not reasonable. But let's not get to that point yet. Let's just take it one day at a time, one step at a time. So let me just close with this. I know it's stressful. I know many of you, because I've heard from you, I've talked with you, I've seen the stress in your communication. I just want you to have peace. You should never be facing this. This is an unprecedented time in American history where everybody is being mandated, or many people are, to get an injection. And it really doesn't matter whether somebody believes the injection is safe and effective or unsafe and ineffective. You should not be forced to place anything into your body that you don't want to put there. And certainly if it collides with your sincerely held religious beliefs. That is unconscionable, it's immoral, and it is unlawful. We will not abandon you. We are here for you, and we will do everything in our power to walk you through this process so that you can continue on in your profession, in your service, in your school. And even if you get denied in places of public accommodation, we want to make sure that the doors of freedom continue to remain open on our watch. We're here for you, and you are clearly and daily in our prayers. God bless you, and Godspeed on this first step.